We are getting all in. And that's how we celebrate all women, one woman at a time. So thank you for joining us here on 107.7 Anya Ayoung Chee. Good morning.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And congratulations, you are a newlywed.
That's correct. Still hard to imagine and believe, but yes.
Yeah. So what was that like for you?
Well, I was not necessarily planning to get married, although I have been engaged to Wyatt before, of 6 years ago. But it was really a personal sort of internal journey to come to terms with what that really means and what that means in a contemporary sense, to be married and to be a married woman.
Right.
And I think for me, there's a lot of resistance around that because I've been so sort of developing my identity independently, and I did not want to lose that. And I had really no feeling of pressure, thank God. I didn't have any sort of sense around from my family or even my peers that that's what I was supposed to do. So it really was a personal choice by the time I finally decided. I'm 36, so I know that in certain cultures that's a bit older. But I'm glad that I waited till now, and I'm happy that Wyatt and I also gave ourselves quite a lot of opportunity to heal through, big and small challenges that we've had together, privately and publicly. And it was really a very honest choice, I guess, is the best way I can describe it. Yeah,
I'm happy you shared that because, especially for women, there's this stereotype, like you must be married by a certain age. And as you said, you wanted to ensure that you found yourself as an independent, that you were able to achieve who Anya is before you got into it. So speaking in that regard, what would you say to another woman thinking of getting married or thinking of if this is the person for her? What would you say?
The same thing. I think that once it is your choice, once it is you can really sit with yourself in a quiet space and know that you remove all pressures around you, or lack thereof, whichever you're dealing with in your life, and this decision is yours, then I think, as in anything else in life, it will inevitably serve you positively. And we have to own our choices, otherwise we end up blaming all sorts of people for what we've done, and we live with resentments and we live with regrets, and that is painful, And I think it is harder to go through the process of really assessing, is this your decision, in the beginning at least, but it really pays off to know that you've chosen this yourself and live with it and be accountable for your choice too. And I think a certain amount of maturity has helped me to realize that no one is responsible for what I've decided to do, and that really shifts the ownership. So 50% of that is really empowering and the other 50% is, oh my God, I have to take ownership of this choice, and that's growing up. I can't blame anybody for what has happened in my life, and I can't blame anything for what's to come, and it's really, but that's empowering. I think the flip side of that is that I own this choice, and
you own it.
That feels amazing. And marriage doesn't mean I've had to convince myself, doesn't mean that I lose that. And in fact, it's really, as a partnership, has really enhanced it. And of course, that depends on your partnership. I would definitely encourage people to choose partners who enhance your ability to be an independent person, and vice versa, that you really are partners and you're there to better each other's lives. And I don't mean that in a, well, you must, make my life easier, because life isn't easy. But I think just to support you as you go through the evolution of your life, and not necessarily be there to fill you up with things, but meaning fill you up with presents and like, you know what I mean? Like, just really support you to be the best version of you as you can be, and you're willing to do the same for the other person.
Right. Thank you. One thing I love about you is your ability to always come with something different, something next. No matter what comes your way, you get through it, and in a very honest, open way. So thank you for that. But what is it that keeps you going? Like, we look on the outside and we say, ooh, this is what Anya's doing next. Oh, she went bigger. Oh, she does better. But what keeps you going to help you achieve step after step and continue to climb higher?
Well, definitely, as you pointed out, that is how it appears. Because on the inside, it's like, oh my God, what is
natural?
No, seriously. Yeah, everybody's having, maybe it is acknowledging that everyone goes through ups and downs, and everybody has painful moments, and everybody has bad days, and everybody has tragedy. Going through that very public scandal of the sex tapes made me at first I was really a victim.
Right.
I really felt victimized. I felt as though the whole country was against me and all of these things. And
Right.
gradually, as I became more accountable for it, I became much more conscious of the fact that this has happened to so many people.
Right.
It continues to happen to so many people. So in very specific and not necessarily specific ways, like we're sharing a lot of painful processes and painful experiences that we don't realize we're sharing,
Right.
So I guess partly it's acknowledging that, not feeling the victim all the time.
Yes.
Which I will admit is not my initial reaction to things. I
Yes.
do feel victimized often, and I have to work my way through it. And I do think maybe what has helped me to continuously do that is a deep sense of connection to something higher than me.
Yes.
Knowing that that we are divine essentially, and that we are capable of so much more than we allow ourselves to believe when
Right.
we're down in the depths of despair.
Yeah.
When I come out of it and I am accountable and I acknowledge that I am in control of this and that I have this divine access to and that's usually through meditation,
Yes.
through various forms of prayer, through writing. An incredibly powerful tool for me that's so basic is writing every morning. What am I grateful for?
Okay.
And that really, really helps. Or even driving over here today, I didn't have time to meditate and write, but I just said it in the car and I took off the radio. I just, kind of brought myself up.
Yes.
And I really do think that kind of active engagement in your spiritual journey is very important, just as important as working out, I always equate spiritual practice as exercise.
Right.
You can't just stop. You can't do a retreat and then hope, well, the rest of my life I'm spiritually enlightened, It's just expecting to train only for carnival, and then your body obviously is going to need it to continue, you
Yes.
know? So it is active, it's consistent, it's as much as I can, and it's a remembrance that I'm not in control and I am in control at the same time.
I got you.
Yeah.
And moving from victim to victor by
Exactly.
taking the reins and understanding what can I learn from this? How can I move forward?
100%.
Wow.
100%.
That's amazing. So you start the morning off saying what you're grateful for. So what are you grateful for this morning?
Well, for being here, of course, being considered worthy of an interview. This is wonderful. And well, for being married, yes, it's been wonderful. I know that, of course, people who've been married for a long time might roll their eyes, but I am basking in the first, how it feels now.
Yes.
It's wonderful. We've been together for on and off for a very long time, and it just really feels like a victory to have
Yes.
gotten here.
Congrats.
And to let myself enjoy it, because I think I'm always so busy sort of being critical of myself and not allowing the joy to come in.
Right.
And so I'm grateful for that too, learning to receive love, and I'm pregnant. What? So
Are you kidding me?
Yes, and I haven't said that on radio until now. Yes.
Well, congratulations.
So, thank you very much. Thank you. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. It's also been quite a surprise.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know you always glow, but you just had this extra something. Because as I saw you this morning, I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Yes. And yeah, I mean, that, again, another sort of very challenging but so amazing journey.
Well, I think you answered the other question. You definitely enjoyed Cuba. You enjoyed the honeymoon.
Cuba was amazing. Yes, I did.
Congratulations to you and your husband.
Thank you
This is
very
amazing.
much. Thank
So
you.
apart from that, motherhood is next.
Yes. I know I threw that one on you there.
Yes, I enjoyed it. So I'm throwing this back at you. So being an expectant mother,
Yes.
what plans do you have in your professional side of things? Do you think that this is going to cause any kind of slowdown, or do you expect that you're still going to keep going and doing what you need to?
That's a great question. That's been the primary sort of point of wrestling within myself from the moment I found out. And I've really, it's a constant assessment of what is important and to me and what can I prioritize.
Right.
And I thought in the beginning, I really was not immediately thrilled, to be honest with you, because I
Right.
was I have these two major projects I'm working on that are both in fashion and technology. One is e-commerce, one is a bit more complicated.
Yes.
And then I've restarted my clothing line, which, I took a longish break, about a year and a half of not designing, not actually putting out work. And those are in one hand, extremely time consuming and take a lot of emotional effort. and yeah, I mean, that's really the same thing. Actually, it just takes a lot, a lot of focus, a lot of discipline, a lot of execution. And I realized when I just let all the fear go that having this child was like a complete motivation,
right?
From a very practical, in a very practical sense, because I have a deadline, like I have to do it, and like usually I'm so kind of like, I have a lot of freedom, so this has given me actual structure. I'm so much more focused and disciplined and determined than before, and I think. I don't know. I mean, this is my first child. Obviously, I have no idea what's to come. I'm sure all the mothers listening are also rolling their eyes like, wait and see. And I'm very conscious of the fact that my life is going to change. But my mother has 6 children, and she still managed to have a business, do her master's, run a foundation.
Amazing.
You know what I mean? So I have a role model in that is incredible.
So we expect that you would be that kind of mother.
Not 6 children.
Not 6 children. But in terms of you still do what you need to. For you, as you explained earlier on, it's about the independence you feel of Anya being who Anya is.
I mean, I think motherhood can often remove that from a lot of mothers, from what I gather. Again, I don't pretend to know, but I gather that you can lose yourself in this job that of being a mother is.
What a peeve of mine in particular. People normally tell you when you have your life over.
Exactly.
Now that you have a child.
Listen, no.
And my response to that is no. It just means my life
obviously not
has just begun. It's filled with more purpose because children kind of give you this fire you need. You spoke about that divine spark. They help to just set it on fire. As you said already. Normally you'll be like, today, tomorrow, but now you realize I've got to get it done.
Yeah, and I hadn't even thought of it yet on a spiritual level, but yes, I think there's a different level of purpose. It's not just about me. It's not just about like providing for myself. If financially, I have to allocate my time very specifically, all of those things, which I never had to do. So, that could only be good. That's not to say I won't be exhausted, but I've been exhausted partying a lot, so I'm sure I'll figure it out. I'm sure that it's a challenge ahead of me, and I'm very grateful to have Wyatt alongside me, and we really do work as a team, and I'm very, very blessed in that sense.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations on your marriage.
Thank you.
Your pregnancy.
Thank you.
Your new business endeavors.
Thank you.
And with that, I want you to leave me with one more thing that you would say to women in particular, because I know you're very much about woman empowerment.
Yes.
And what you want to say, especially with the current situation in which you're seeing so many stories coming out week after week with regards to women being victims. What would you like to say to ensure we pick our ladies up?
I mean, Lord, in the light of how many how many women are being abused in this way, I think it takes a tremendous amount of courage to continue to be your authentic self, to risk being yourself fully, which is something I say all the time, which is just a bunch of words, but if you really stop and listen to it, risking being yourself fully requires a lot of courage. And I think even in light of how much is happening for women, against women, it's even more paramount to do that. Step out and do what you have to do, because otherwise, we continue to be victimized, and that just cannot continue to happen. And even though the onus ought not to be only on us, men in this country and in this region have to step up and protect their women in a real sense, not in a macho kind of sense. You know what I mean? Like, actually step up. The police have to respond better. A lot of what I think is going on with women and violence is not women's fault at all. In fact, none of it is, So I really think that it's a collective effort. But as it pertains to women and how we get to show up, regardless of what's going on in our lives, is to have the courage to be our authentic selves.
Thank you so much for that. We're going to hold on to it. Have the courage to be your authentic self. I think that's the substance of everything. Summed up. Thank you. So congratulations yet again. We appreciate you joining us here on 107.7 Music for Life. You're not going to be a stranger. We'll see you again, obviously.
Yes.
All right. So best wishes to you and yours. Anya Ayoung Chee with us in studio, fashion designer, among so many other tremendous things, and definitely one woman who stands up for women.
That's right.
All right. And our wow of the week here on 107.7 Music for Life.